What if the greatest strength a person can have is simply staying calm when everything is falling apart? When Ahmed receives a mysterious message revealing that someone close to his family may have betrayed them, his world begins to shake. Secrets hide behind familiar faces, trust begins to crumble, and every step toward the truth becomes more dangerous. But instead of anger or revenge, Ahmed chooses something far more powerful: self-control. As hidden lies slowly surface, one shocking truth threatens to destroy the family forever. The question is, who is the real betrayer? And can calm wisdom defeat deception before it's too late? Watch this gripping story to discover how the silent power of self-control can reveal the truth when emotions try to blind us, because sometimes the quietest response is the most powerful one. Sparkles. In a quiet part of the city lived a young man named Ahmed. He was not rich, not famous, and nothing about his appearance made him stand out in a crowd. Yet there was something unusual about him. He possessed a rare ability that many people struggled to develop: self-control. Ahmed believed that life constantly tested people through anger, temptation, and pressure. While others reacted quickly, he had trained himself to pause, breathe, and think before responding. One morning at his office, an incident occurred that surprised everyone. During a team meeting, one of Ahmed's co-workers suddenly accused him of making a serious mistake that had cost the company money. The room fell silent. All eyes turned toward Ahmed, expecting him to defend himself angrily or argue back. But Ahmed did something unexpected. He took a slow breath and remained calm. Instead of raising his voice, he quietly said, "Truth doesn't need to shout. Give it time, and it will speak for itself." His calm response confused the room. Some thought he was weak for staying silent, while others were curious about his confidence. The co-worker who made the accusation looked slightly uneasy, but the meeting continued. A few days later, the truth finally surfaced. The mistake had not been Ahmed's at all, it had been the same co-worker who blamed him. When the management discovered the real facts, the entire office realized how powerful Ahmed's calm reaction had been. If he had lost his temper, the situation could have turned into chaos. Instead, his patience allowed the truth to appear naturally. From that day on, many colleagues began to respect Ahmed more. They started to see that real strength was not in shouting louder than others but in mastering one's own emotions. But life was not finished testing him. One evening, as Ahmed was about to leave the office, he received a message that instantly changed the expression on his face. The news was serious, far more personal than a workplace accusation. It involved his family, his future, and a decision that could affect everything he had worked for. For a moment, anger, fear, and confusion rushed through his mind. His heart beat faster, and his hands tightened around his phone. This time, staying calm would be much harder. Ahmed slowly sat down in his chair, trying to control his thoughts. Just as he was about to make a decision that could change the course of his life forever, someone knocked on the door. The knock on the door pulled Ahmed out of his racing thoughts. He looked up slowly and said, "Come in." The door opened, and to his surprise, it was his old friend Kareem. They hadn't spoken in months. Kareem noticed the tension on Ahmed's face immediately. "Are you okay?" Kareem asked gently. Ahmed hesitated for a moment, then handed him the phone. Kareem read the message carefully. It was from Ahmed's younger brother, saying that their father had been involved in a serious financial problem back home. The family business was close to collapsing, and some relatives were blaming Ahmed for not helping earlier. They expected him to return immediately and take responsibility. Kareem looked at Ahmed. "That's a lot to deal with," he said quietly. Ahmed leaned back in his chair. His mind was full of emotions, guilt, frustration, and even anger. Part of him wanted to react immediately, to call everyone and defend himself. Another part of him wanted to ignore everything and walk away from the problem completely. But he knew that decisions made in emotional storms often lead to regret. He closed his eyes for a moment and took a deep breath, reminding himself of the principle he had always lived by: control the reaction before controlling the situation. Kareem watched silently as Ahmed calmed himself. "What will you do?" he finally asked. Ahmed opened his eyes slowly. "I don't know yet," he replied. "But I know rushing will only make things worse." Instead of reacting immediately, Ahmed decided to gather the full truth. He called his brother and asked careful questions, trying to understand what had really happened. As the conversation continued, small details began to emerge, details that suggested the situation might not be as simple as it first seemed. Something about the story didn't feel right. When Ahmed ended the call, his expression had changed. The anger in his eyes had been replaced by quiet determination. "Kareem," he said slowly, "I think there's more behind this than just financial trouble." Kareem frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" Ahmed stood up and picked up his coat. "I think someone is hiding the real reason the business is failing." At that moment, another message appeared on his phone, and what it revealed made Ahmed realize that the situation was far more complicated than he had imagined. Ahmed slowly opened the new message on his phone. It was not from his brother this time. The number was unfamiliar. For a moment he hesitated, then began to read. "Don't believe everything you're being told," the message said. "Your father didn't lose the business by accident. Someone close to your family planned it." Ahmed's heart skipped a beat. He looked at Kareem, who was watching him carefully. "What happened?" Kareem asked. Ahmed handed him the phone. Kareem read the message twice, his expression growing serious. "Do you know who sent this?" he asked. Ahmed shook his head. "No, but whoever it is, they know something." A strange silence filled the room. Ahmed's mind was racing again, but this time he forced himself to stay calm. His instinct told him to reply immediately, to demand answers, but he stopped himself. Acting too quickly could scare the sender away. Instead, he typed a simple response, "Who are you?" Minutes passed with no reply. Kareem leaned against the desk. "This could be someone trying to manipulate you," he warned. "Or someone trying to help." Ahmed nodded slowly. "Either way, I need to know the truth." He remembered the small details his brother had mentioned during the call: missing money, sudden business decisions, and a distant uncle who had recently become very involved in the company's finances. At the time it sounded normal, but now the pieces seemed different. Then Ahmed's phone vibrated again. Another message appeared: "If you want the truth, go home. But be careful. The person responsible is someone your family trusts." Ahmed felt a chill run through him. Someone the family trusts. That could mean almost anyone: relatives, business partners, even old family friends. The thought was unsettling. For years Ahmed had believed that the people around his family were loyal and honest. Kareem crossed his arms thoughtfully. "Looks like you'll have to go back and see things for yourself." Ahmed stared at the message again. He knew returning home could pull him into conflict, accusations, and emotional chaos. Yet if someone was truly betraying his family, ignoring it would only make things worse. After a long pause, Ahmed finally spoke. "I'm going back," he said quietly. Kareem nodded. "Then we'll find the truth." Ahmed picked up his bag and turned off the office lights. As they walked out into the quiet night, he couldn't shake the feeling that the challenge ahead would test his self-control more than ever before. Because if the person behind the betrayal really was someone his family trusted, then facing the truth might be harder than he ever imagined. Ahmed finally returned to his hometown with Kareem by his side. The atmosphere in his family home was heavy with tension. Everyone seemed worried, and quiet whispers filled the rooms. Instead of reacting emotionally or blaming anyone, Ahmed chose to stay calm and observe carefully. His self-control helped him notice things others had ignored. Over the next few days, he patiently spoke with family members, reviewed financial records, and listened more than he talked. Slowly, the hidden truth began to reveal itself. The business had not collapsed because of bad luck or simple mistakes. It was the result of manipulation by a trusted relative who had secretly been moving money and making risky decisions for personal gain. When the truth finally came out, the entire family was shocked. Anger filled the room, and many people wanted to react harshly. But Ahmed once again chose the path of calm wisdom. He reminded everyone that losing control would only create more damage. Instead, he encouraged them to handle the situation with justice and dignity. The relative who had betrayed them eventually admitted his actions. Facing the calm strength of Ahmed and the truth that could no longer be hidden, he realized the harm he had caused. The family decided to resolve the matter through legal and responsible means, protecting the future of their business and relationships. In the months that followed, the company slowly recovered. More importantly, the family learned a powerful lesson. Ahmed's patience and self-control had prevented the situation from turning into chaos. His calm decisions allowed the truth to surface and helped everyone move forward with wisdom instead of regret. People in the community often spoke about how Ahmed handled the crisis. They realized that true power is not found in anger, loud arguments, or rushed decisions. The silent power of self-control is far greater. It allows a person to see clearly, act wisely, and protect what truly matters. The story reminds us that life will always test our emotions. But the people who learn to control their reactions gain a quiet strength that guides them through even the most difficult storms. And in the end, patience, truth, and self-control always lead to the path of peace and respect.